Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe at home. So guys, today we're going to be talking about a very interesting hybrid called as Graptoveria titubans, or also known as the porcelain succulent. Now guys, this succulent is a cross between Graptopetalum ghost plant and Echeveria derenbergii. So the word Grapto comes from Graptopetalum and the word Veria comes from Echeveria. So you have your hybrid named as Graptoveria. So this strain of hybrids of Graptoverias are very strong and hardy as compared to other hybrids. Now talking about temperature, Graptoveria titubans prefer temperatures between 20 degrees Celsius up to 30 degrees Celsius. But they can even tolerate higher temperatures of 35 to 36 degrees Celsius. But you'll have to protect them from heat waves. Now, in case if your temperature rises above 37 degrees Celsius, then you'll have to move them indoors and grow them under grow lights. So that brings us to the light requirements. Graptoveria titubans prefer a lot of light, be it in form of direct sunlight or in form of indirect sunlight. Now initially, as you can see, my succulent was stretching because it was not getting a lot of light. You can see the stem has stretched and there are a lot of gaps in between the leaves. But after acclimation, I put it out in direct morning sunlight for 5 to 6 hours, and now you can see that the crown area is more compact and there are no gaps in between the leaves. So guys, it's very important that you give them a good amount of light in order for them to grow very well. Apart from stretching, in case if Graptoveria titubans do not get a lot of light, they will revert back to green color. And if they get a lot of light, or if they get adequate amount of light, they will have a gray tone on their leaves. So you will have to provide them in direct morning sunlight for 5 to 6 hours, or you can provide them with indirect bright light, which has to be throughout the day. But in case if you're only receiving afternoon sunlight, ensure that you're using a shade cloth or green net in order to give it filtered afternoon sunlight or indirect afternoon sunlight. Do not expose it to strong afternoon sunlight, otherwise the leaves of Graptoveria titubans might get burnt. And always ensure whenever you're putting out your succulents to direct sunlight, that is direct morning sunlight, ensure that you acclimate it completely before putting it out in direct morning sunlight. So now talking about watering, it's very simple. Just like any other succulents, whenever your soil is completely bone dry, you will do a complete watering. Now when I say complete watering, it is you're going to water the soil until the water starts passing through the drain hole. Now guys, over here as you can see, this is a severe case of dehydration. You do not need to wait so long for the succulent to look like this. This is just an example to show you guys how a severely dehydrated succulent looks like. Now here as you can see, the leaves have closed inwards and it has turned into a compact ball. The reason behind this is because we all know that succulents tend to store water in their leaves, and as soon as the water starts depleting because the succulent is not getting any external water, so once all the water that was stored in the leaves starts to get depleted, the leaves will start closing inwards, and this is called as the survival mode. Now there are three instances wherein the succulent does this. One is when it is severely dehydrated, second when it's getting stressed, and the third is when the succulent gets into the dormant period. Now guys, over here it was nothing related with dormancy, it was just a severely dehydrated succulent. So once I went ahead and watered the soil, within 24 to 48 hours the succulent opened up. This also indicates that the soil was very good, the roots were healthy, so they were able to absorb water, and within 24 hours they happened to store the water back again into the leaves and all the leaves opened up. So guys, there is another important point as well. Apart from severe dehydration, stressing and dormancy, another reason as well the succulents can close the leaves is when the heat is too much. If there is really high temperature and the succulent cannot handle the high temperature, the leaves will start closing inwards. So you need to act accordingly. Check what exactly the problem is. Now here is another set of Graptoveria titubans that were placed downstairs in my garden, wherein they receive only indirect afternoon sunlight with the help of the green net. You can see they are compact and they have a grey tone. However, earlier they were stretching a lot due to lack of light, as you can see over here, but right now they are doing quite well. I'll be going ahead and giving this guy a cut because he stretched a lot. However, the others are doing quite well. As you can see, they are very compact. They have the gray tone on them. So I will be leaving these guys as it is, but I'll be going ahead and giving a cut to this guy. Also, I have noticed that the stem is turning brown, which indicates that the stem is drying. So I'll have to check what exactly is going on. Probably I'll give it a cut and show you guys how to do the cutting. Now guys, whenever you're using any kind of cutting material, be it a scissor, blade or knife, ensure that it's properly sterilized so that it does not lead to any bacterial infection. And whenever you're doing a cutting, ensure that you cut a larger piece of stem so that later on if you need to cut, you still have a large piece of stem to grow. So the remaining part of the stem, I will leave it in the soil as it is, because if it tends to work out, I will have lot of small pups on the stem. Now you can see I had used a stick to give support for the stretching succulent, but I think it did not work out and the succulent just started growing off the support. So guys, now getting back to the succulent that we just cut, let's check what was the actual issue of this succulent. Now guys, as you can see, the moment I take a look, I can see a lot of aerial roots, which indicates that the stem was dried or was in the initial stage of drying. Because whenever you cut a stem, there has to be a lot of water or there has to be a lot of moisture, but here as you can see, it has been dried. Another indication is that the succulent has put out a lot of aerial roots, which indicate that it was not able to absorb any water through that stem, or the water was not able to pass through the stem, so it put out the aerial roots to absorb water from the moisture. So we will get rid of that dry stem. Before that, I will just pluck out the leaves. You can see this is how you need to pluck out the leaves. The cut has to be very clean in order for it to have a successful propagation. Guys, always remember, do not apply a lot of pressure. Just gently twist and turn and the leaves will get separated from the stem because these are mature leaves. And in order to have that clean cut, you have to be very gentle. You can see all of these leaves have a very clean cut and a very smooth end. So guys, now getting back to the stem, I will get rid of the dry part of the stem. I have to be extremely careful because I do not want to harm the aerial roots. They are going to be very important in future. Now guys, I've gone ahead and given it a trim. You can see the aerial roots are still intact. However, the stem is still slightly dry, but that's not an issue because I already have the aerial roots present on the stem. So guys, here this is how the cut part of the dry stem looks like. You can see it's completely dry. All the water looks like it's been sucked out of this part of the stem, so it was of no use to us. So now that all the difficult part is done of cutting and segregating it, now it's very important that we let the cut heal and callus. So what I usually tend to do is I sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon powder on the open cut so that they heal and dry faster. Now a very important thing, this part should not come in contact with any water or moisture, so I'm going to cover it with plastic. As you can also see that all my succulents right now are covered with a plastic sheet because we are receiving a lot of rains as we are in the monsoon season. So now the succulent that we just cut, I will dip that as well in cinnamon powder so that the cuts heal and dry faster. Now guys, cinnamon powder has lot of benefits. It has antibacterial properties. It's also known to be a very good rooting hormone. Apart from that, if you sprinkle dry cinnamon powder on the soil, it will keep ants and other insects and pests away from your succulent pot. So give it a try. Cinnamon powder is natural, it's organic, so it is not going to harm your succulent. In fact, it is going to help you a lot. Apart from that, whenever you apply cinnamon powder on the cuts, it tends to dry and heal the wounds faster. So after applying the cinnamon powder, I will wait for it to callus. It will take a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days, and I will place it in indirect bright light with good air circulation. Now guys, ensure that this part of the succulent does not come in contact with any moisture or water. Now after it gets calloused, I will then repot it. Now guys, over here the best part is 80% to 90% of the work is done. I do not need to wait for the roots to appear because it already has aerial roots. So after the succulent is adjusted in the new soil, after 4 to 5 days, I will water the pot and let the succulent grow in that new pot. Now the same thing applies for the leaf propagation as well. In case if you're planning to do a leaf propagation, ensure that all the leaves have a clean cut. Now you need to callus them. Either you can dip them in cinnamon powder, or if you want to skip that part, you can do that. But it's very important you let them callus. Now this completely depends upon your environment. For me, it usually takes around 2 to 3 days for them to callus. Now during this period of time, guys, ensure that the leaves do not come in contact with any moisture or water. Ensure you place them in shade or indirect bright light. Do not place these leaves in direct sunlight, otherwise they will get dehydrated, they will get dried even before the roots come out. So in case if the leaves get dehydrated before the roots or the pups come out, then it's going to fail the propagation. So you need to be very mindful about this. So luckily, while cleaning the pot, I found a leaf of Graptoveria TITUBANS that has already started its journey. Now you can see the leaf is very healthy. It has healthy pink roots and it's already putting out a pup. Now guys, it's very important you never missed the mother leaf. Do not drop water on the mother leaf. You want to prolong the process of drying, because naturally this leaf will dry out over time, but always try to make an effort that from your side, do not accelerate the process of drying. Let it do it naturally, because this mother leaf is very important. It is going to be providing a lot of nutrients, and whatever water is present in the leaf, the pup will be consuming it. So right now you can see, because it did not come in contact with water, the water did not fall onto the mother leaf. You can see how intact the mother leaf looks like, and that's exactly how it should be. So guys, here is another successful propagation that was done couple of years back. Now when I say couple of years back, it has taken around 2 to 2.5 years for the leaf propagation to reach to this size. Now guys, dealing with succulents, dealing with leaf propagation, it requires a lot of patience, but trust me, it's worth, and it is very rewarding, because as you can see right now, I feel so good holding this succulent pot, because this succulent was grown from a leaf propagation, though it took a lot of time, but it's always rewarding to see your succulent grow so healthy. So if you are getting into the hobby of succulents, you have to make sure that you have a lot of patience. Now talking about fertilizers, if you do not use any fertilizers, it's absolutely okay. Your succulent will still do fine. But in case if you're planning to use any kind of fertilizers, always go for a liquid based fertilizer. Always use half the dosage what's mentioned on the label, and always dilute it in water before giving it out to your succulent. Another important thing, always fertilize your succulents only when they are in their growing period. So that brings us to the next question. When is the growing period for Graptoveria TITUBANS? Now Graptoveria TITUBANS are summer dormant succulents, so their active growing period is during the winter season. So during the winter season, you can feed your Graptoverias, but ensure you do not over fertilize them. You can either feed them once a month or once in 2 months during their active growing period. So guys, I hope that this video on Graptoveria TITUBANS was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new, please consider subscribing to my channel. So until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.